Imagine this. The year is 3072. Elder Scrolls 6 is shortly releasing. You are Emil Pagliarulo, sipping coffee, smirking as you scribble "Player is the story" on just one of your used napkins, thinking that it is genius while the Elder Scrolls 6 gathers dust. Toddball comes and visits on a regular basis, just to come and check out how some of these quests are coming along. Todd is very happy, because the quests are just about as bland as their last two previous titles. They have no depth whatsoever, because you are the story. Yes, you, the player, you are the story. And that's what these games are truly about. Now this is a glimpse of the future coming to you very soon, or in the next 1,000 years. Emil doesn't age because he's immortal. Put it this way, if I had it my way, I would politely ask Emil to put the pen down and start putting the fries in the bag, because I don't think he's cut out for this kind of role. Bethesda's writing is interesting, to say the least. And by interesting, I mean pretty embarrassing. Embarrassing to a point where Emil Pagliarulo, the lead writer, believes that the player is the story. That being an incredible excuse to validate your reason for not putting any sort of meaningful storyline within your games. Bethesda has built these massive, jaw-dropping worlds that have sucked us in, to be honest. Their hype machine's a beast, but their stories, too often they're hollow hunks, gorgeous on the outside, but really empty on the inside. With the Elder Scrolls 6 creeping closer after 7 years of radio silence, we've got to dig into their writing track record to see if Tamriel's next chapter is heading for glory or to a grave. From Emil's long reign over their narratives to the fading echoes of Fallout 4 and Starfield, we are peeling back the layers to figure out if Elder Scrolls 6 is pretty much screwed, and why that hits hard for anyone who has ever bled for Bethesda's games. Once again, if you're a fan of these kind of videos, I make weekly videos on all sorts of gaming content, so please be sure to consider subscribing and also liking the video. Emil Pagliarulo has been the narrative gatekeeper at Bethesda since Fallout 3, steering their storytelling ship for nearly 20 years now. His big pitch? The player is the story. It's a mantra that has dominated their games. Hand us the reins, let our choices carve the tale. On paper, it is an absolute dream. It's total freedom, really. Tamriel as our canvas? Wow, that sounds pretty good. But peel it back, and it's a dodge. A slick excuse to skate past the hard work of crafting deep, resonant narratives that actively hook the player into your world. Now with Elder Scrolls 6 on the horizon, this shallow steering could really be its doom. Emil's not really shy about it either. In a 2016 interview, he brushed off detailed plotting, saying that he's more of a player-driven moments guy than scripted epics. In 2021, he then doubled down on it, arguing that game stories should get out of the way for players to shine. Look, freedom is totally fine in a game, but when it is the whole playbook, you're just left with frameworks, not stories. Look at The Witcher 3 for example. CD Projekt Red gave us choice, sure, but wrapped it in a plot with actual guts. Geralt's hunt for Ciri layered with loss and love. Baldur's Gate 3, Larian Studios built a world where decisions twist the tale, yet every NPC has a soul that sticks. Emil's lens feels like a shortcut next to that. His track record is telling. Fallout 3 did have its moments, sure. Liberty Prime's chaos, the Wasteland's grit, but by Fallout 4, it's fine-shorned quests with no depth, Skyrim's Alduin, a dragon with no why, Starfield's artifact chase, a fetch quest in space. Emil's player-first gospel keeps stories lean, accessible, broad, but very thin. This isn't just a philosophy though, it's more of a gamble. Emil's betting that we're going to be filling the gaps in, that roaming beats reading, but fans aren't all on board, like me. Some do love it. Skyrim's be who you want vibe thrives on it for sure. Others like me see a cop-out. Bethesda's freedom is cool, yes, but when it's an alibi for shadow writing, it is a huge risk. Elder Scrolls 6 could land as a sprawling map with a story that just shrugs. Epic in scale, but really empty in spirit. Bethesda's writing doesn't just stumble because of Emil, however. It's really baked into their whole design DNA. They are obsessed with gameplay, sprawling open worlds, radiant quests, endless loot to hoard. Story is just an afterthought, a sidekick tagging along behind the real star. Player freedom. This isn't a quirk, it's more of a trap that's left their narrative soulless. And for Elder Scrolls 6, it could really spell doom for them. I'd like to think that we're moving into a generation of gamers who enjoy stories in an RPG game especially. I'd also like to think that many gamers do not like their intelligence questioned, especially during story-based games. We all do love Skyrim, however, it did have its flaws. Their quests were basically like kill this, grab that, and they looped forever in my opinion. Fallout 4 settlements let you build until dawn, fun I suppose, Deep? Not really, because you're the one doing it. They're just time sinks, they're not really tale spinners. Red Dead Redemption 2, for example, made every stranger encounter a mini story. Bethesda's happy with, go here, do this thing. Exploration is king, combat's queen, and the story is the court's jester. They're just to nod while you roam. This isn't new. Oblivion lead on procedural quests too, but back then the writing had a lot more bite. Now it's more diluted. Starfield's planets, for example, hundreds of them, mostly empty, all just copy and pasted. The game's scale flexes hard, but the narrative's a whisper. Bethesda's content with a sandbox and figure it out shrug isn't acceptable, especially going into a 2025 game. We can't allow that to happen again. I say that as if I'm gonna do anything. They're not clueless, however. Fallout 3's endings had a lot of weight. Skyrim's factions really teased a lot of conflict that was quite interesting, but the priorities have shifted. Keep players hooked with systems, not scripts. It's a gamble that I suppose has worked. Sales have soared and many people are still actively playing the games to this day, but it's a hollow win if Elder Scrolls 6 lands as a playground with no pulse. I'd like to think in the past that Bethesda's worlds, Skyrim, Starfield and beyond are giants of ambition, but their writing is just a hollow core threatening to doom the Elder Scrolls 6. These games have promised and delivered epic scope, yes, but the stories and lore just feel like an absolute afterthought in these games. Shallow, sidelined, and just starved of soul. Skyrim is a legend, 2011's open world king, a canvas where you're a thief, mage, or dragon slayer, but if you really scratch the surface, the narrative is a ghost. The main quest pits you against Alduin, a world-eating dragon with zero motive, just a big bad to bash basically. No personal stakes, no twists that linger, it's a heroic to-do list, shout, slay, win. Compare that to a game like Elden Ring, its bosses like Melina, weave lore into every swing, a tale of rot and defiance. Alduin is a cardboard cutout in comparison to this. Elder Scrolls 6's next threat could just flop just as flat, and that's not something I want to see. The Civil War subplot, Stormcloaks vs the Empire, teases a moral maze. Racism in Windhelm, Ulfric's rebellion, the Empire's grip. It's right for nonce, but it's a coin flip. Pick a side, fight, done. No ripple beyond a swapped flag, no gut punch. And that's the most frustrating thing about it. It's like that person that you know you have so much potential and you just want to rag their head because they're not doing enough. That's what I feel like with Bethesda, because they have it there. They have the ideas, the lore, everything at their disposal, but they just choose not to apply it in the correct format. Fast forward to Starfield in 2023. It was a galaxy full of potential, but the writing was just a letdown again. The main quest was chasing artifacts with the Constellation. I suppose it sounds grand, but it was just another fetch chain with no cosmic weight. It was basically like a scavenger hunt in space. It was almost similar to Skyrim in a way. You have all these different factions and they had so much potential to apply themselves and create a really well written story, but they just didn't go that extra mile, whether that be of their own doing or just wanting to use that excuse of player freedom once again. Something else I'd like to touch on is the lore in their games. Bethesda's golden goose really, but isn't touched upon at all. Bethesda's got gods, Dwemer ruins, ancient wars, centuries of juice buried in books and cryptic NPC lines. Starfield's got colony wars, alien relics, a universe begging to breathe, stashed in terminals and logs. It's rich, but it's not the pulse. Fallout 3 is fused with lore and action. Liberty Prime stormed from the pages. Fallout 4's Institute barely scratches its own tech mystery. Why is the lore not incorporated in their games more? Why do we have to go out of our way if we want to learn something about a particular subject in your game? There is such a loyal fan base for the Fallout, Skyrim, I don't know about Starfield, but they want to know about the lore. Why should they have to go out and do their own homework to find it? Why can't you incorporate it into the stories of your game? It would add so much more to the narrative. And that is honestly my biggest concern regarding Elder Scrolls 6. If they don't incorporate the lore into this amazing world they're going to be making, then what is the point in playing at all? Are we just walking around mountains and seeing a building being like, oh, there's a building. No one's going to explain it to us unless we go into some chest and read through it ourselves. Imagine it was incorporated more into the story. I feel like it would be so much more engaging for players, and it would actually make a lot of people eat their own words, including mine, in their claims that Bethesda obviously can't tell good stories anymore. So is Elder Scrolls 6 doomed with Bethesda's writing? I'll just cut the crap. The signs are screaming yes. It is a gut punch for anyone who has ever loved Tamriel. Emil is going to be dragging Bethesda into the gutter for years to come with his philosophy in regards to storytelling. The sooner that someone sees that in the company, the better, because they seriously need to wake up and understand that people don't want stupid, simple stories anymore. Emil Pagliarulo needs to put the pen down and start putting the fries in the bag, because I have no hope for the storytelling ability of Elder Scrolls 6 with him at the front line of it.